Baldur's Gate 3 just got its official global launch times. We also have to go over a few in-game settings that you should probably change on release. WYLL also gets an entirely new actor, and we'll go over some of the details with that. There's also a game giveaway that we'll go over, and a few other PSAs for launch day. We got a lot to talk about. What's up, World Streamer? Back in the video, and we're checking out all things Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, so first up, let's just jump into those global launch times, as we do finally have a chart laid out here with all the global launch times, although it does look like they skipped a few times in between, but for the most part, they caught all the big ones. So again, that's going to be 8 a.m. Pacific time on August 3rd, and there also isn't going to be any type of preloading. Now, Sven, the CEO, did mention during the live stream that Steam essentially asked them to push up the launch time instead of it being at midnight, so that's why we're getting it later in the day. There also isn't any preloading with this, which that's super unfortunate to hear, especially with people with slow internet like myself. It's probably going to take a few hours after launch, but it is what it is. Now, if you did purchase the collector's edition, it looks like a lot of people are finally getting their codes in for Steam. I'm guessing this will also be for the PlayStation as well, so be sure to check your emails out for this. It should give you a link to the webpage to redeem it, kind of just like this infographic here or this email that they got. Essentially, you'll just click the thing in the middle, and then you can redeem your key from there. So yeah, be sure to check your emails. Now, there's a funny gag item here for work. Essentially, if you need to take time off, Baldur's Gate themselves have provided a little sheet for you. It's a Baldur's Gate 3 launch day special dispensation. It is pretty funny as a gag item here, and if you wanted to try to just, I don't know, if you're like cool with your boss, I guess you could probably give this to them even if you're not being serious. It seems pretty funny, and I like when video game companies kind of delve into this sort of thing. It shows that they're a lot less out of touch with reality, and I think that really helps. So I'll have a link down below if you want to download this or print it out. That way you can have the full high-resolution image. And we do have those PSAs for launch day, and there are a few of them. One here says that with basically the recommended and the minimum system requirements, essentially there is down below saying that additional note is that an SSD is required. However, I will say that other games in the past have said that they required an SSD, but you can still play them on a hard drive. Now, it's definitely not recommended, and if you're in the year 2023, you should probably look to getting an SSD. They're actually not that expensive, and there's deals all the time. Even the ones that are 1 terabyte, 500 gigabyte. In fact, I got one for like 20 or 30 bucks. So yeah, they're pretty cheap, and there's probably not a reason to not upgrade unless you're just not wanting to do it. They're also fairly simple to install, nothing too crazy, and you could probably even use an external with an adapter. But I'm sure as most of you probably do have an SSD, as they are pretty cheap now and more relevant. Now, we do have to talk about a feature that is essentially there or is on by default, and I didn't even know about this thing, but it's called karmic dice. Essentially, the damage that you receive increases by 400%. Basically, the TLDR here is that if you have a karmic dice setting enabled, enemies will hit and crit you significantly more often than they should. The effect increases with your armor class with an AC of 23, and you will take 4 times more damage than you should as this AC, or at that current AC, making any tank build effectively becomes useless. There's a big data analysis here that gets all into the numbers and everything with it. However, I still think that I'm going to keep mine on. There is some weird stuff there that essentially it doesn't allow you to run those tank builds, so if you are looking primarily for a tank build, maybe you should look to take this off. However, there is some things there with the karmic dice. It is a lot of complexity here, so I'm going to put a link down below to this post as well, and if you want to check through it, kind of look through it yourself and see maybe you want to turn it on or turn it off. It's supposed to favor the player, but then it ends up being kind of a deterrent after a little while or later into the game. Essentially, it is pretty complex here. It can work in both ways by helping and hurting the player. It's supposed to be there to make the beginning player experience a little bit more seamless. There's honestly a lot to go over with that, and reading through it, I'm trying to read everything and catch up on it, and it definitely could be a little bit confusing, so hopefully I read up on this a little bit more and get a little bit more in-depth analysis on it. Now, I know I mispronounced his name in the last video, and I called him WYLL, but his name is actually WYLL. That's my apologies. Normally I look up names. I thought this one was pretty easy to pronounce. Sometimes I get it wrong, and yeah, it happened. But he essentially did get a rewrite to his story, and they even swapped out the actor playing him. So now we get a brand new actor playing WYLL. I really did think his voice was okay, and the acting was actually pretty good in the game. I do hope this new actor can bring that same type of energy. However, it looks like he has a long list for his resume. He even narrated the 12-hour Warhammer 40k audiobook. So he's probably pretty good and will be a fine replacement for now. It's possible that he wasn't replaced due to anything, and maybe they just had to rewrite the story, and the other actor, the voice actor, is now busy. There's definitely some takes here with that, so it could be that he wasn't just replaced, more so had to be replaced, unfortunately, because of his leaving. We don't know the full situation there, but it is a bit different to rewrite the whole story and change out the voice actor right before release. But I'm sure it'll be just fine, and I'm excited excited to see his new story and background. Now we do have an article here with IGN and the CEO, and they were asking about sequels, and they did say that the next sequel will be Divinity OS, but not before a well-earned break. I definitely don't blame them there. They should definitely take a break after this big, massive game. Pretty cool to see if they're going to switch it up there and not just do another sequel to Baldur's Gate. I know a lot of people have said that they love DOS 2. I really wish I had time to check it out in between here, but with playing early access as well as other games, I just haven't had the time to pick it up and play it, and I almost don't want to burn myself out for a BG3 release, but I might get to it eventually, maybe one day, and I probably will before the DSO3 sequel. Now, from the last community update, they did say if you're new to the game and looking for a broader overview of what BG3 will be at launch, we're working on a separate video, stay tuned later this month. And they said that on July 12th, which was 5 days after the last video on Lurian's YouTube page. So essentially here we're waiting for like another launch day video or even an overview. If there is anything today or tomorrow, I'll probably put an updated link or a pinned comment down below so that you can see it. Although I'm sure if it pops up and there's a big launch video, you'll probably see it in your recommended anyways. But yeah, as of right now, we're probably not getting anything, and there is some speculation that it might show up on the 28th, which is tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see. Now there actually is a giveaway going on for Baldur's Gate 3, and it's kind of a little fun contest. Essentially there's some fun party time partner stuff that you can pick out. Basically who would be your favorite in that scenario. And all you gotta do is enter, pick who you would think that would be best for you in the game. It is through Discord. I'll have a link down below to the tweet and the Discord as well. And yeah, they're giving away 10 free Steam codes of Baldur's Gate 3. Now, it doesn't denote which version or what copy it's going to be. I would assume it's probably just a base edition, which would be a deluxe edition upgrade if you pre-ordered it, and if they do give it away before release, so it'll technically be the deluxe edition no matter what. But yeah, that would be my assumption for that giveaway. Again, all the links to that will be down below. Now, there was a big debate around tactician mode and balanced. I almost wish that early access did have the difficulty setting enabled. That way I could kind of experiment on what I want to play with. I will say in some scenarios the game felt a little easy for me, but then on others I struggled trying to get through certain scenarios and break down, and I definitely had to take advantage of environment stuff. So I'm kind of worried I'm picking tactician, as I'm not like super keen on these D&D games and I don't know a ton about them, really never played them before. I feel like tactician is going to be extremely hard and more so like of an edge case of a game mode. Although I really do want to play it, as I most often play the highest difficulty in every game that I play. But this one seems like it might be a little rough, so I might still go with balance. I am curious on what game mode that you guys are going to play, if you're going to try a tactician, if you're going to try the easy story mode, or even balanced. I'll probably do a poll for that sometime soon, maybe even today I'll put up a poll for undecided, balanced, and the tactician and the easy mode. Essentially gauge some interest for that and kind of check it out. I would do one for classes, but there's so many that a YouTube poll cannot fit it in. But yeah, I'm definitely curious on what the overlap for that was going to be. That should about cover for today's video. If you like it, and subscribe. Until the next one. Deuce.